What if everything you thought you knew about yourself, your worth, your identity, was being shaped by something outside of you? What if the constant stream of notifications, the endless scroll, the likes and comments weren't just distractions, but the very threads that weave the fabric of your existence? The screen in front of you has become more than a tool. It's a mirror, reflecting a version of you created by algorithms, shaped by strangers, and sold back to you as a commodity. But who are you, really? Beneath the filters and curated moments, beneath the performance you put on for an audience, is there any trace left of your true self? You've become an object, your identity fractured, scattered across 1,000 profiles, each one a mask, each one a lie. What happens when the story you've been telling yourself crumbles under the weight of this digital theater? This is not just about social media. It's about confronting the very idea of who you are and how far you're willing to go to reclaim the truth. Have you ever stopped and wondered if those connections you make online are real? The endless stream of messages, the likes, the comments, the notifications. In that brief moment when you hear that little ding sound, your heart beats faster. It feels like validation, doesn't it? Someone out there has acknowledged you. But beneath that fleeting rush, something darker lurks, something unsettling. What if, despite all the interactions and the thousands of friends and followers, you are more alone than you've ever been? You see, social media promises connection, intimacy, even love. It lures you in with its shiny facade, making you feel seen, understood, validated. But this illusion is fragile. You might not even realize it yet. But the very thing that promises to bring people together is, in fact, quietly eroding the core of what real connection truly is. The truth is, the deeper you dive into this digital world, the further away you drift from true human intimacy. The truth? You're not really connecting. You're performing. What you share online, the perfectly framed photos, the curated opinions, the filtered version of your life, is a show. A carefully crafted narrative designed to present an image of who you want to be, not who you truly are. It's easy to get swept up in the idea that all of this interaction somehow means you are closer to others. But what if you've been tricked into believing that an audience's approval is the same thing as a real relationship? Each like, comment, and share is like a small injection of dopamine, a hit of pleasure that keeps you coming back for more. The more you engage, the more your brain craves that satisfaction, the more you invest in the illusion of connection. But what happens when that connection fades? When the dopamine is gone and you find yourself staring at an empty screen, alone, still searching for that next rush? You've become addicted to something that can never satisfy you. This constant cycle of temporary validation leaves you feeling hollow, yearning for something deeper. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing these interactions mean something meaningful. After all, isn't the idea of being liked or shared a sign that people see you, understand you, even care about you? But ask yourself this: how many of the people who have liked your post actually know you? How many have had a real conversation with you, heard your voice, looked into your eyes, felt your presence? It's not just a lack of intimacy, it's a lack of authenticity. When did we start to believe that a carefully timed post or a witty tweet could define who we are? It's as if the lines between self-expression and self-marketing have blurred beyond recognition. You're not just sharing a photo or a thought anymore, you're performing. You're playing a part in a grand spectacle, a digital theater where everyone wears a mask, carefully crafted to be seen, to be liked, to be validated. But here's the harsh reality. Who are you, really, when the lights go down? When the screen goes dark? The more you seek validation from others, the more your identity becomes tangled in the web of approval. You are no longer just yourself. You are a version of yourself, sculpted to fit the expectations and desires of an audience that may never truly know you. And in this performance, the true you, the messy, imperfect, vulnerable you, gets lost. So, what's the price of this illusion of connection? As we continue down this path, The line between real intimacy and virtual validation becomes increasingly blurred. Relationships become transactional, based on the need for external validation. You'll start to wonder, are the connections you think you're making real, or are they just empty echoes of what connection used to be? And even more terrifying, what happens when these digital ties fade, leaving you with nothing but the aching emptiness of isolation? The danger isn't just in losing real relationships. It's in forgetting what it even means to connect, to be truly seen, to experience intimacy in its raw, unfiltered form. You might end up losing touch with the very essence of human connection, swallowed whole by a digital world that promises everything but delivers nothing. Have you ever wondered why, after scrolling through your feed, you find yourself feeling unsettled? Maybe a little angry, a little more anxious, or perhaps even a sense of emptiness, as if the content you're consuming isn't truly fulfilling, but is somehow pulling you deeper into something you can't escape. It's not by accident. You think you're in control, but the reality is far darker than you realize. The algorithms behind these platforms don't care about your happiness, they care about your attention. Every time you scroll, click, or pause, you're playing right into their hands, feeding into an endless cycle designed to keep you hooked. But what's the cost of all this? And more importantly, can you ever escape? Imagine this. Every action you take online, every click, every search, every swipe is tracked, measured, calculated. Behind the screen, there's an invisible force working relentlessly, shaping your thoughts, desires, and worldview, all without you even realizing it. It's not about showing you what you want to see. It's about showing you what will keep you coming back, what will hold your attention just a little longer, what will provoke your emotions and reinforce your biases. The more you interact with content, the more the algorithm learns about you. And the more it learns, the better it gets at feeding you exactly what you need to stay addicted. You've felt it, haven't you? That rush when you discover something new that seems to speak directly to you, as if the algorithm knows you better than you know yourself. But that rush quickly fades, doesn't it? Replaced by the craving for more, for deeper engagement. This isn't coincidence, it's design. The algorithm has a goal, to keep you glued to your screen, feeding your desires and fueling your emotions, while subtly guiding your behavior, your beliefs, and even your identity. It isn't a tool you control anymore. It's the puppet master, and you're the puppet. This chapter is not just about technology, it's about psychology. You're not just a user of these platforms, you're a target. Your every move is observed, catalogued, and manipulated. The content you see isn't random, it's curated specifically to provoke a response from you. And that response is usually an emotional one. Whether it's outrage, excitement, or envy, the more intense the emotion, the more likely you are to engage, and the more likely you are to stay hooked. But let's face it, most of us are unaware of this manipulation. We think we're in control. We believe we're picking what we want to see. But that belief is precisely what the algorithm wants you to think. It's a carefully crafted illusion that hides the true power dynamics at play. The content you're consuming isn't an organic part of your interests. It's a highly calculated strategy designed to pull you deeper into a cycle of consumption that you can't escape. What you see isn't reality. It's a version of reality that's been tailor-made for you. It doesn't reflect the complexities of the world, it reflects your preferences, your opinions, your biases. But even worse, it reinforces them. This is the subtle genius of the algorithm. It doesn't just show you what you like, it shows you what you're most likely to agree with. And over time, you're trapped in an echo chamber, where the only voices you hear are those that align with your pre-existing beliefs. It's no longer about discovering new perspectives or challenging your ideas. The algorithm shapes your world into something small, narrow, and predictable. You see the same kinds of posts, the same opinions, the same headlines, over and over. Your worldview shrinks, and so does your sense of what's possible. The more you engage with this feedback loop, the more your perception of reality becomes distorted. The world outside the screen starts to feel distant, foreign, But the world inside it feels more real, more comforting, because it's been shaped just for you. At what point does this cycle stop being a choice and start becoming a prison? The endless scrolling, the constant craving for more content, more likes, more validation, it's all designed to keep you consuming. But at what cost? Every minute you spend in this digital maze is another minute you lose yourself. You become more isolated, more anxious, more dependent on the next dopamine hit. The tension builds as you realize this isn't just a fleeting distraction. It's a systemic force that's shaping your mind in ways you may never have fully understood. But is it too late to break free? Can you ever escape the algorithm's grip, or have you already become a prisoner of your own making? That's the question you're left with, as the world around you becomes more and more controlled by the digital puppeteers, pulling the strings of your every move. The deeper you go, the harder it is to see where the algorithm ends and where you begin. Have you ever felt that sense of emptiness after posting something, only to wait for someone, anyone, to notice you, to give you that small, fleeting acknowledgement, that like, that comment? It's as if your worth is suspended, waiting on the approval of a digital audience. But deep down, you know something isn't right. You feel the pull, the desperate craving for validation, but you wonder, why does it never feel like enough? Why, after all the likes, all the comments, all the shares, does the emptiness remain? This chapter isn't just about social media. It's about something far deeper, our fundamental need for validation. But in this digital age, it's twisted, amplified, and ultimately hollowed out. The external approval we seek on these platforms becomes the currency of our self-worth. But what happens when we become addicted to this currency? What happens when we start to believe that our value, our identity, is nothing more than the sum of others' perceptions? Each time you post, it's as if you're placing a little piece of yourself in the hands of strangers. But why do we do this? Why do we let people who don't truly know us decide our worth? It starts with a simple, innocent desire to be seen, to be heard, to feel important. But as the likes roll in, something shifts. The momentary rush of validation feels like it could fill the void within, if only for a second. But as quickly as the satisfaction comes, it fades. It always fades. This cycle of seeking approval becomes a trap. The more we feed it, the hungrier it gets. The more we get, the less we feel satisfied. But why does it never feel like enough? Because validation from others, especially from strangers who can never truly know us, can never fill the void that exists inside us. It's an illusion, a mirage that looks like water, but leaves us thirstier than before. What happens when this external validation becomes the only way we measure our worth? We begin to lose ourselves. The more we rely on others to define who we are, the more fragmented we become. We start to shape ourselves to fit the expectations of our audience. We present curated, filtered versions of ourselves, hiding the parts we fear are unworthy of approval. We start to believe that our true selves are too raw, too unpolished, too real for anyone to accept. And so, we put on masks. The mask of the happy person, the mask of the confident one, the mask of the successful one. Each mask is a performance. Each mask is a lie. The more masks we wear, the less we recognize ourselves. The person we present online becomes a mere shadow, an echo of who we truly are. But the shadows never tell the full story, do they? You may have noticed it. That internal tug, the one that pulls you away from authenticity and toward performance. You see, the more you chase after approval, the more you lose touch with the real you. You stop asking yourself, who am I? And start asking, who do they want me to be? At what point does this quest for approval stop being a choice and start being a prison? It's not just about the likes anymore. It's about the identity you've constructed around them. You become so consumed by the need to be seen that you lose sight of the fact that real connection doesn't come from a digital thumbs up. It comes from vulnerability, from shared experience, from being truly known by others, not validated by them. As you continue down this path, the stakes grow higher. You start to base your happiness, your value, your self-worth on something that's fleeting, superficial. And in that moment, when the approval you sought so desperately fades away, you're left with the raw, painful truth. You've been living for an audience. Not for yourself, not for real, deep human connection, but for an illusion. Here's the question you must face. Are you living for yourself or for others? Have you allowed the digital applause of strangers to dictate your sense of self-worth, your very identity? Because if you have, you may have just lost sight of who you truly are. The need for validation is universal, but when it becomes the foundation of your existence, it distorts everything. The emptiness you feel isn't something to be fixed by more likes or comments, it's a reflection of something deeper. The void inside can't be filled by external approval, no matter how much you chase it. Have you ever stopped to think about the person you show online? The one with the perfectly curated photos, the witty status updates, the filtered moments that seem so polished. It feels like you've got it all together, doesn't it? But what about the person behind the screen? The person who doesn't have a carefully chosen filter or a crafted caption? What happens when the version of yourself you present online starts to feel more real than the person you are off-screen? The truth is, you're no longer just one person. You're many, each version a reflection of the facades you've created. But how long can you keep up the illusion before you forget who you really are? Before you become lost in the performance? Every time you post, you present a carefully sculpted version of yourself, a curated self that fits within the narrative you want the world to believe. The happy moments, the perfect outfits, the seemingly flawless life. It's all part of the performance, the digital you. But here's the thing. This version isn't real. It's a construct, a mask. And like any mask, it hides the true face underneath. You've crafted it so carefully that it's easy to forget that it's just a projection, a carefully constructed version of you, designed to be liked, admired, and validated. The more you feed this projection, the further you move from the person you are when no one's watching. The truth behind the screen, the raw, unfiltered you, starts to fade. The real you becomes something you only recognize in moments of quiet reflection. But these moments grow rarer as the digital you takes up more space in your mind and soul. The more you perform, the more exhausting it becomes. The constant need to keep up appearances, to maintain the illusion of perfection, starts to wear you down. It's not just about the effort, it's the toll it takes on your mental health. You start feeling disconnected, lost, like you're living in two separate worlds. One where everything is perfect, polished and controlled, and the other where the messiness of life, the struggles, and the imperfections are real. The emotional strain builds as you try to reconcile these two versions of yourself. You might start to notice the cracks, small at first. A comment from someone that challenges your facade. A moment of vulnerability that slips through. A moment where the real you accidentally shows up. These cracks make you question, who am I, really? Is the person I show online who I really want to be? Or is it just who I think others want me to be? The digital world doesn't just change how we present ourselves, it distorts how we see ourselves. As you keep juggling these multiple versions of your identity on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, you begin to lose track of which one is really you. The lines blur, and soon you're no longer just presenting different sides of yourself. You're splitting into different people. There's the happy, successful version, the confident, adventurous version, the deep thinker, the goofball. But they're all separate, fractured pieces of a whole that no longer fit together. Each version pulls you in a different direction, demanding different emotions, different responses, different performances, but none of them are truly you. Each one is a version of yourself, shaped by the expectations of your audience, by the validation you seek, and eventually, you begin to lose sight of the person you were before all of this. The real you, the raw you, gets buried under the weight of these masks. The more you present these versions of yourself, the less whole you feel, the less connected to your true self. Living this way takes a toll on your soul. The dissonance between the versions of yourself online and offline grows deeper, and it starts to erode your sense of self. You begin to feel hollow, as though you're existing in a state of constant performance, never able to be fully present, fully authentic. The weight of maintaining these multiple selves wears on your relationships too. How can anyone truly connect with you when the person you present to them isn't real? When your identity is a series of facades, how can anyone see the real you? This fragmentation begins to affect your mental health. Anxiety, depression, loneliness, all set in motion by the need to keep up appearances. The emotional exhaustion becomes palpable. But here's the haunting truth. The more you seek validation from others, the more you lose yourself in the process. And the longer you keep this up, the harder it becomes to find the real you beneath the layers of performance. So, where does that leave you? Can you reconcile the fragmented selves you've created? Or have you already lost touch with the person you used to be? The deeper you go into this digital maze, the more the truth begins to surface. You've become a collection of performances, fragments of a whole that's slipping further away. How long can you keep up the illusion before the real you disappears entirely? The tension grows between who you are offline and who you project online, between authenticity and performance. It's a battle for your identity. And in this battle, there are no winners. Not until you face the uncomfortable reality that you've been living a lie, one post at a time. Have you ever found yourself scrolling through social media, admiring someone else's life, their perfect moments captured in flawless images? Maybe it's the glowing skin, the perfectly styled hair, the idyllic vacations, or the loving relationships that seem untouched by time. In those moments, do you feel a pang inside you, a quiet whisper that says, "Why isn't my life like that?" The pursuit of perfection is everywhere, whispered in the captions, flaunted in the posts, sold in every advertisement. But here's the truth. The more we chase this ideal, the more it costs us. And the higher the price we pay, the less real happiness we ever seem to find. Perfection has become the currency of social media. Every time you open an app, you're met with flawless bodies, perfect moments, ideal lives. It's an illusion, beautiful, glittering, and unattainable. But the more we see it, the more we begin to believe it's possible, that we too can live this idealized version of life. And so, we chase it. We spend hours editing photos, curating our lives for the camera, reshaping our bodies, our faces, our worlds, just to fit into this mold. But with every perfect post, the truth slips further away. The more you try to attain this image of perfection, the more you lose yourself. The very act of striving for it erodes your authenticity, leaving you with nothing but an empty pursuit that can never truly satisfy you. And yet, you keep going. You know it's a trap, but the pull is too strong. Every like, every comment, every little bit of validation from strangers feeds into the belief that this ideal is worth chasing. But every time you fall into that cycle, you grow further from who you really are, and deeper into the web of comparison. It starts innocently enough, doesn't it? A little tweaking here, a filter there. You see others doing it, so why not? But soon, it becomes an obsession. You can't stop. Every image has to be just right. Every post needs to be perfectly timed. Every outfit flawless. And when something doesn't measure up, you feel that knot in your stomach. The anxiety creeps in, your heart beats faster, your thoughts race. You wonder if people will notice the imperfection. You worry that you'll be judged. This is the cost of perfection. The constant stress, the emotional toll it takes on your mental health is real. It's the anxiety that grows with every picture you post. It's the relentless comparison to others, the self-loathing that bubbles to the surface when you fall short. And it's the crippling fear that maybe you aren't good enough, that you'll never live up to the impossible standards set by those perfect images on your screen. In chasing this unattainable standard, you lose the ability to simply be. You become consumed by the need to measure up, constantly questioning your worth. The more you focus on being flawless, the less joy you find in the raw, messy beauty of imperfection. And here's the truth that becomes harder to face with each passing day. Perfection isn't just unattainable, it's toxic. As you scroll, it becomes harder and harder to look away. The images blur together. But one thing stands out: perfection. It's everywhere on your feed, in the ads, in the stories. You're surrounded by it, submerged in it, unable to escape it. And with every image, you're reminded of your own perceived flaws, your own shortcomings. This isn't just about physical appearance. It's about the lives that seem so much fuller, more exciting, more successful. It's the constant comparison to others' seemingly perfect lives. You see someone on a beach in a bikini, living the dream, and you wonder why you're stuck in the cycle of work, responsibilities, and quiet loneliness. You see a couple laughing in a sunset photo, and you wonder why your relationships feel strained, why your love life seems so much less perfect. The more you compare, the more you feel inadequate, and the more inadequate you feel, the harder it is to break free from this cycle. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The pursuit of perfection only deepens the emptiness. You'll never reach it because it doesn't exist. But the anxiety, the self-doubt, the constant chase, it's real. It's all-consuming. So, what's the price of perfection? The emotional toll, the constant battle with yourself, the fear that you'll never measure up. At what point does it destroy the very thing it promises to bring you: happiness? You think that once you've achieved the perfect life, the perfect image, the perfect body, the happiness will follow. But happiness isn't found in the pursuit of perfection. It's found in acceptance, in accepting that you are enough, just as you are, in embracing the imperfections, the flaws, the things that make you human. But the question remains: at what point does the chase for perfection rob you of the ability to enjoy life as it is? At what point do you lose the joy of spontaneity, the freedom of authenticity, just to chase a dream that can never be yours? The truth is this: the more you strive for perfection, the further you get from happiness. The more you measure your worth against an impossible standard, the more you lose yourself. The more you compare, the less you appreciate the beauty in the imperfections around you and in yourself. So ask yourself, is the price worth it? Is the pursuit of this illusion truly worth the toll it takes on your mind, your body, and your soul? What happens when the likes, the followers, the comments, all the things you've built your digital self upon fade away? You've spent years curating, performing, reshaping yourself for an audience that never truly knows you. But when the screen goes dark, what's left? What's the purpose of it all? When the validation you've sought from strangers becomes hollow and the identity you've crafted dissolves like sand through your fingers. You thought you were building something meaningful, something lasting. But what if everything you've built was a distraction from the truth? What if, in the pursuit of external approval, you lost touch with the very essence of who you are? It's easy to get lost in the illusion. Every post, every follower, every like reinforces the idea that you matter, that you exist in some meaningful way. The digital world becomes your stage, and the more applause you receive, the more you believe you've found purpose. But somewhere, deep down, a quiet voice begins to question. Is this it? The hustle for digital fame, the pursuit of the perfect image, the endless cycle of seeking approval, it all feels like it's leading you somewhere. But to what? You've been told that the more people see you, the more important you become. But is your significance tied to how many strangers click a button on a screen, or is there something deeper at play? The truth starts to crack through the facade. Social media doesn't offer meaning, it offers distraction. It fills the emptiness with noise, with images, with fleeting moments of validation, but never with substance. It keeps you constantly busy, constantly consumed by the chase for approval, never allowing you the space to stop, reflect, and ask, what is my life really about? And when the distraction fades, all that remains is silence. Silence and the crushing realization that what you thought was purpose was merely a carefully orchestrated performance. You've crafted a digital identity, one that is perfect, curated, and polished. But the more time you spend maintaining it, the further you drift from who you really are. You start to lose touch with yourself, As your true identity becomes more fragmented, buried beneath layers of performance. You live for the likes, the comments, the approval of an audience that barely knows you, and yet you feel as though your worth is validated by them. But when the applause dies down, who are you? Are you the person you portray online, or is there something deeper within you that has been buried, hidden behind the screen? The longer you live in this digital world, the more fragile your sense of self becomes. The external validation that once felt like it gave you strength begins to feel like a crutch. You can't walk without it, and yet it doesn't truly support you. What happens when the validation stops? What happens when you realize that the person you've built online isn't the person you are at all? This existential crisis doesn't just shake your sense of self, it shatters it. Who are you when the followers stop scrolling, when the comments stop coming, when the digital applause fades into the silence of your real life? You stand at the edge of this realization, staring into the abyss of emptiness that social media has only amplified. The feeling of being lost, of no longer knowing who you are, creeps in like a shadow. You thought you had it all figured out, that by building this digital self, you were creating something that mattered. But the truth is, the more you sought approval from others, the further you got from what truly matters. And now, faced with the void that social media can never fill, you must ask yourself, what is left? What's the purpose of this pursuit if, in the end, it leads only to emptiness? The digital world, for all its promises of connection and meaning, has only distracted you from the most important question of all. Who are you, really? And how much longer can you live in the illusion before you lose yourself completely? The emotional weight of this moment is overwhelming. You realize that in chasing approval, you've allowed others to define you, to shape your identity, and in doing so, you've lost the most essential part of yourself. The external validation you sought so desperately can never fill the void of authenticity. And now, you're faced with the ultimate choice: to continue chasing this illusion, or to step away from the screen and reclaim your true self. The decision is not easy. The fear of being forgotten, of no longer being seen, pulls you back into the digital world. But deep down, you know the truth. To reclaim your life, to find real meaning, you must stop living for the approval of others. You must confront the emptiness head-on and embrace the uncomfortable truth that who you are in the real world, imperfect, flawed, vulnerable, is far more valuable than the digital image you've created. The final question: who are you when the screens go dark? Can you reclaim your true self, or are you forever lost in the endless cycle of validation and performance? This is the question you must answer as you stand at the precipice of your own existential crisis. The pursuit of meaning, true meaning, begins only when you are willing to face yourself, raw and unfiltered, and stop chasing the false promises of the digital world. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to step away from the noise? To silence the constant barrage of notifications, the endless search for likes, and the insatiable need for validation? Imagine for a moment what would happen if you stopped performing, stopped curating, stopped chasing approval, and just were. The truth is, reclaiming yourself from the digital world is not easy. It's not instant, and it's not glamorous. It requires facing the very things you've been avoiding: the fear of being unimportant, of being unseen, of being imperfect. But the question remains: are you ready to face the truth? Are you ready to take that first step toward rediscovering the person you were meant to be before the screen took over your life? The first step toward reclaiming yourself is one that feels like betrayal. Disconnecting, walking away from the very thing that has been your lifeline, your source of connection, validation, and, yes, even purpose. For so long, your worth has been tied to the digital world, measured by followers, likes, comments. The idea of stepping away, even for a moment, feels terrifying. What if you're forgotten? What if, once you stop posting, you disappear? The fear of invisibility creeps in, whispering that you are nothing without the attention of others. But here's the painful truth: the more you stay connected, the further you drift from yourself. The constant noise, the constant feedback, only drowns out the quiet voice within you, the one that knows who you are beyond the screen. Stepping away isn't just about disconnecting from social media. It's about reconnecting with the parts of you that have been silenced, overshadowed by the need to perform. It's a battle to turn down the volume of the world around you and hear the voice of your authentic self. As you step away from the digital world, you'll face something far more uncomfortable than the fear of being forgotten. You'll face yourself, the real you, the person without the filters, the curated life, the carefully chosen words. And in that moment of stillness, you'll realize how much of yourself has been lost in the chase for perfection. The imperfections that you once feared are now the very things that make you whole. The fear of imperfection runs deep in all of us. In a world that constantly demands flawless performances, it's hard to embrace the messy, imperfect parts of ourselves. But here's the paradox. It's only by embracing these flaws, by accepting your humanity in its rawest form, that you can truly begin to reclaim who you are. The journey to authenticity isn't about achieving perfection. It's about accepting the beauty of being imperfect. The cracks, the scars, the mistakes, they're all part of your story. As the digital noise fades, you'll begin to rediscover parts of yourself that you may have long forgotten. The things you loved before social media took over, your passions, your hobbies, your unique perspective on the world. The real you is not defined by the number of followers you have or the likes you receive on a post. It's not a brand or a performance. It's a life lived authentically. Rediscovering yourself requires letting go of the need to be everything to everyone and simply being enough as you are. This process of self-reflection is uncomfortable. It's not always easy to look inward and confront the parts of yourself that you've hidden, the dreams you've sacrificed for external validation, the fear you've carried of being unworthy without the approval of others. But as you sit with those uncomfortable truths, you also begin to realize something powerful. You are enough. You always have been. You don't need to be seen or approved by anyone to be worthy of love, of happiness, of peace. In the quiet moments of self-reflection, you begin to see the power of authenticity. For so long, you lived for the audience, for the applause, for the validation. But the truth is, the real power lies in living for yourself. When you stop performing for others, you find peace in simply being. The more you embrace your true self, your unfiltered, imperfect, and authentic self, the more you unlock the freedom that comes with living without the pressure of external expectations. The emotional weight of this realization is profound. For the first time in a long time, you feel free. Free from the chains of comparison, from the need to be perfect, from the illusion that your worth is tied to the digital world. It's a quiet freedom, but it's the most powerful kind. It's the freedom that comes from accepting yourself fully, from standing in your truth without apology, without fear. So now, you stand at a crossroads. You've begun the journey of reclaiming your true self. But the question remains, are you willing to continue down this path? Are you ready to embrace the discomfort of imperfection and the freedom of authenticity? The digital world will always be there, waiting to pull you back into its cycle of validation and performance. But you've tasted something deeper now, the truth of who you really are. And as you move forward, you must ask yourself, will you choose the life of endless performance, or will you step into the real world and rediscover the parts of yourself you've lost? The journey doesn't end here. Reclaiming your true self is a lifelong process. It's a journey of embracing imperfection, of finding meaning in authenticity, and of living for yourself rather than for the approval of others. But the first step, the most powerful step, is realizing that you have the choice to break free from the cycle and find the peace that comes with simply being. As you continue this journey, remember, your worth has never been tied to the screen. It has always been inside you.